It is no secret that the majority of Star Wars fans have been left disappointed by how Disney has mishandled Star Wars ever since they bought the franchise in 2012, and it all could be down to one thing: a lack of planning and overall vision for the future of Star Wars. It also shows that Disney did not understand what they were really getting into when they acquired Star Wars, nor the true nature of the fandom and how deeply people felt about the franchise. Today, I'm going to discuss some areas where Disney messed up with Star Wars and what I would have done differently. Now, I am no businessman, I've never worked in this industry, and I have no degree or certificate that would qualify me to be able to make these choices or be put in a position to do so. But if I was in that position, this is what I would have done differently with the Star Wars property. So the first place Disney messed up with was not focusing on telling new stories in the Star Wars universe and not progressing the Star Wars story after Return of the Jedi. Now, I am fully aware that they did attempt this with the sequel trilogy, but after I rewatched the entire Star Wars saga, including the 2003 Clone Wars series between episodes 2 and 3, I realized more than before that each sequel to the trilogy movie is just a variation of each movie from the original trilogy, even when there is absolutely no need for it to be. After watching episode 9, I just have one lingering question: what was the point of this trilogy? After Return of the Jedi, the Empire had lost and should have been reduced to a small faction that was falling apart, and not just because of the destruction of the second Death Star, but also because of the death of the Emperor and Darth Vader. Not only did they lose their most powerful and intimidating leaders, but they no longer were being led by the Force, which gave Vader and Sidious the ability to see the future and sense enemies where others would not be able to. Without this kind of leadership, the Empire would have continued to fall apart and not be remade under a new name and somehow be the main force in the galaxy. If I was able to choose the direction of Star Wars in 2012, my first rule would be to limit new stories told between episodes 1 and 6. The main reason for this is because the goal of acquiring Star Wars should be to build on what came before, not to retell stories that fans already know and love. Now, I would have allowed the Clone Wars to be completed as originally planned, but as for the new movies, I would not be too sure I would want to make a new trilogy in the first place. Personally, I think Star Wars is too big to be told just across 3 movies, and I think that worked better in the old saga because they were all tied together, and in the prequels, they had to lead up to the fall of Anakin Skywalker and the rise of the Empire. It would have been better to release a show with a similar animation style to the Clone Wars series that took place after Return of the Jedi, to allow writers to fill in the gap between Return of the Jedi and any new Star Wars that would take place afterwards. This show would show us the beginning of Luke's new Jedi Order, and could tell me to show us how the new Jedi try to find their role and purpose in this new post-Imperial galaxy. It could also do that with the New Republic, and how they try to bring the galaxy back together after the fall of the Empire. Now, if these ideas sound similar to the EU, that's because they are logical plot points and make sense. Episodes 1 to 3 were about the rise of the Empire, episodes 4 to 6 were about the fall of the Empire, so any story that takes place afterwards should be about the rise of the New Republic and the new Jedi Order, and I really don't understand why Lucasfilm didn't go ahead and use that as a basis for their new trilogy. If Disney had used this setting, the possibilities would have been endless with the content they could have made. They could have made tons of movies and TV shows about the new Jedi and the different missions they could have with the members of the New Republic trying to build a new government. And they could have made different factions try to take over after the Empire has fallen. They could even have different clans trying to take over the criminal empire after the death of Jabba the Hutt, which I notice many people don't seem to talk about. That would have been a great way to introduce new bounty hunters into the galaxy. Now, I would have also greenlit more video games that take place during this era, which leads me to my next point: giving EA exclusive rights to develop Star Wars games until 2023. This has to be one of the dumbest things Disney has done with Star Wars so early into purchasing the franchise, about on par with making the expanded universe non-canon, and it has ruined Star Wars in a lot of ways than most people realize, but I'll focus on what I would have done differently. First of all, shutting down LucasArts would never have been an option. I would have kept the company and had them start working on Star Wars Battlefront 3, which will combine the best parts of the original Star Wars Battlefront games and include bigger maps, higher player counts, and include maps and heroes from both trilogies, and later add DLC maps and characters based on the new content that we would have put out. I would also allow them to continue 1313 and First Assault, which they had been working on prior to the Disney takeover. Video games have been a huge part of Star Wars and have done very well in continuing the story outside of the movies. Continuing this with future Star Wars games released with different developers would be key in continuing the story, and it can help keep fans immersed in the universe, just like the Battlefronts and Old Republic games did in the past. So overall, what I would have done with Star Wars is simply not touch what came before, because it was perfect the way it was, decide which Legends content we would actually use in our stuff, and progress the story in ways that would actually make sense and allow the different studios to make different Star Wars games just like in the past. Personally, I cannot watch any new Star Wars content without thinking how badly Disney has mishandled the franchise, because I know that the sequel trilogy is the future of Star Wars, and no matter how good the Clone Wars Season 7 will be, no matter how good The Mandalorian may be, and no matter what happens in the rumored High Republic storylines we may receive, I can never forget what Disney has done with the universe. I am fully confident that future Star Wars movies and TV shows released by Lucasfilm will be better than what we have gotten, because Disney and the fans won't allow it to be worse. But things the sequel trilogy has done to change the things about the Force which never needed to be changed will forever ruin my view of Star Wars. But that's just me. So that's basically the end of my rant or discussion. Tell me what you guys think of it in the comments below, and tell me what you guys would have done differently if you had control of Star Wars when Disney took over in 2012. Tell me what you guys would have changed, what you would have liked to see, or maybe if you like the sequel trilogy, tell me why. It's YouTube, you can talk about whatever you want. The only thing I ask is that you guys respect each other in the comments if you do watch this video and comment, but I'm not going to block anyone. You can basically do whatever you want. So thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers, mates.